Hello, everyone. Today we're looking at Plague's Tale 2 Requiem. Wow. I am really surprised and astounded by this, this game series being done by an indie studio because it's very impressive. So A Plague's Tale, the Requiem, takes place more or less right after the first one. So they've kind of defeated, the evil bishop or whatever and kind of his corrupt section of knights. And so now that Hugo can control the rats, he's kind of been able to recover from that. And so now what has occurred in the beginning of the second game is that he's kind of been infected and his blood is kind of slowly corrupting him and he's slowly dying. And so at the beginning of the game, you actually have this really cool intro where you have these like medieval beekeepers and they have these very distinct, cool looking outfits that I've never seen before. So I'm really glad they added that in. And you kind of have to like sneak around these guys and whatnot. So it introduces you or reintroduces you to the stealth mechanics of the franchise. Again, this is a very story focused game. So I feel like there's a lot more cutscenes, a lot more dialogue than the previous one, which is fine. But I feel like it was maybe a little bit too much in this one. So you kind of know what you're getting into with the same thing as the first game, just a little bit more of the same. There are definitely new mechanics, though, not new mechanics, but new kind of variations of the things Amicia can throw with her sling. And another cool thing is that there are also new collectibles around the world, which are different flowers, which, you kind of learn about their history, their name, and their meaning. And Amicia will put them in her hair, essentially, and collect them as collectibles throughout the world. Anyway, back to the story. So Hugo, he has this dream of this giant willow tree on this island with this phoenix. And so he crawls towards this pond under the willow tree and drinks it, and it actually cures him. And so they're trying to figure out, maybe this might be a lead as to what he needs to do to essentially get better. But in the meantime, what they do is they go to this alchemist in the south of France, and they essentially try to heal him there. And so the first few chapters of the game really take place in a small town. It's very peaceful, kind of gets you acclimated to the environment, the townspeople, the environment, and then slowly over time, once it's trained you and you've done all the tutorials, then it kind of throws the rats back at you. And so yes, the rats are back. I'm sorry, I just love, it's kind of cheesy, even though it's so serious that these rats, there are so many of them that they break through like stone walls and all this stuff. I think it's just incredibly stupid, but also very comical and silly hearted at the same time. But yeah, as I was saying, the combat works more or less like the same, like the old one. You have your sling for taking out guards, different kinds of ignifers for starting and stopping fires or objects. And the new thing they kind of added to this game, I think it might have been in the last one, but you now have followers like Lucas. But you have two new followers that for certain chapters of the game, one guy is kind of this big knight guy, and he just actually can murder the other knights that come across your path. So he's actually a lot of fun to be with because you basically just have to tell him where to go and who to attack, and he will eviscerate the enemies. And then another one is this kind of like pirate thief lady who helps you out. Again, there's nothing forced or weird or cringe about this game. All the characters are written very genuinely. I don't think there was a single bad character. Another thing that was also very striking about this sequel is that just how good it looks. I mean, usually, again, I kind of reserve the graphical fidelity since award to AAA, but since I guess graphics and technology has advanced so far that even an indie game like this one is able to have these really amazing volumetric lightings moments and these really cool scenes. Again, I think the other complaint I have about this game is maybe not so much the cutscene to gameplay ratio, but more so the fact that the game is actually just very long. It's definitely more than 12 hours, or it feels longer than 12 hours. Again, which isn't a bad thing, but there's a certain part where I was like, you know what, if this were a movie, there were just certain scenes that could have just been cut out because they were not important. But yeah, they kind of go from the south of France, essentially, and sail to this remote island where they have this weird cult pagan worship thing going on. And once they arrive there, then things take a very interesting turn. And I thought that was really kind of cool that they did kind of this alt religion kind of thing. There's also this reoccurring knight who's also after them, who is again trying to kill them, and essentially later, I believe, becomes one of your protectors, essentially. Again, I really love what they do with the characters in this game. I mean, Hugo and Amicia feel even more kind of well written and connected. And again, the voice actor for Hugo he does an amazing job. I think they're actually using like a 7-year-old or 10-year-old boy, because it sounds like it. Amicia's voice actor also does a great job as well. And almost everyone gives a grade A performance in this game. Like, honestly, this is very impressive voice acting. The music itself is also very, very intense and good. And yeah, with the whole rats, being able to, take over things, you'd think they'd be safe on an island, but no, the rats have followed them. There are some definitely very difficult segments in this game. I remember near the end, there's kind of this one kind of stretch where you just have to take out what feels like 50 guys, and it's just really, really difficult to go through. So there is kind of a more emphasis on upping the gameplay, the stakes, and the story goes in a bunch of generally interesting directions as well. And again, you do you return with the rat mechanics where you're able to control them and force them into other areas. There's also the aspect of one section where you actually play as Hugo and you have to stealth around by yourself. And so yeah, they develop the lore, the story, and I think what's also very impressive is just what the rats actually do. You think you've seen everything once a pile of rats have clawed through a giant castle wall, that's it. But yeah, they were able to do some more things in this game where the rats themselves cause an existentialist threat to the entire world. But yeah, friggin' rats. Yeah, but in general, overall, I was very, very satisfied with this experience. Again, the story just feels a little bit too long. It felt like twice as long as it needed to be. I guess that's impressive, but again, it just like a lot of this stuff we could have just gone without, or could have been shorter in general. The last thing I think I need to say about this game, and I won't spoil it, is the ending. The ending is frankly extremely shocking. I never thought they would go in this direction, or they do something like this in this series. So yeah, even though this is a direct sequel, I feel like they make a big step as to how they've handled the story. And so there is a pretty big twist at the end, you could say, that really changes the tone of this game a lot. And for me personally, it was actually very shocking, very emotional, and honestly kind of worth it. So I know I've said, oh yeah, I know it's a very long story, it's a pretty long game, that it has to be, but the ending is genuinely worth it, because it's just like, damn, they actually went there. Yeah, it's more the same, just with more characters, more levels, more maps. Again, the whole game looks really, really beautiful. There's these kind of sort of open world-ish sections where you can explore this entire town, and there's little side quests and little things to pick up, but nothing really major like in AAA. It's still fairly linear essentially, and so all the dungeons and puzzles are designed for you in mind as the player. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about this. A really worthy sequel, and again, a very shocking, interesting story, if a little bit too long. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.